Hi everyone, this is a presentation to give you the last few terms that you need in social psychology. Here we go. A lot of these terms that you're going to see are pretty standard things that you probably have discussed before, but things that are still important to explaining our behavior, especially in a social scene. The first one is discrimination. This is the treatment of a particular person or group because of some sort of characteristic. You can think of many examples of this. People discriminating against others because of gender, race, sexual orientation, religion, ethnicity, culture. Any and all of those are good examples of ways in which people are discriminated against someone else. Obviously, this is negative treatment of those individuals, and you can think of many different examples in history for that. Stereotype, this is a representative view of a group that is typically untrue. There's some little bit of truth in terms of some individuals within the group might behave this way, but the problem is when you start to create a representative view saying that everyone is like that. So, we can all think of the classic stereotypical jokes that we hear, things blondes are dumb and all black people play basketball, different stereotypes like that, where some people within those groups might actually do those things, but it's not a representative idea where all people within those groups do those things or are those things. Prejudice, these are perceived opinions about a particular person or group, and so as you can see with discrimination, stereotyping, and prejudice, they all kind of relate to each other in terms of the behaviors and the opinions and the beliefs. And so with prejudice, it's when you hold these opinions about a certain group, and then you tend to discriminate against them because you hold this prejudiced view of them. So the three of those terms all do come together and work with each other. There's an idea known as in-group versus out-group. Typically, it's in-group versus out-group bias, but this is when you are constantly comparing the group that you're a part of versus the group that we deem that's different from our own. So it's like that us versus them mentality of you hold true to the group that you're part of, you stay loyal and true to them, and you typically look out against other groups that are different from you or not a part of you as ones that aren't as good as you are, or ones that need to be treated differently or negatively as a result of them not being a part of your group. And so this can explain different kinds of behaviors in the sense that, we're always looking to remain loyal to the groups that we're a part of, but then, we're not always as open to other groups as we need to be. So you'll find that we'll have prejudice towards them, we might discriminate against them. So anytime that we see a group that's different from us, we tend to act out negatively against them. Scapegoat, this is another common phrase that I'm sure you've heard before. This is when you blame a situation on someone else rather than perhaps the true entity that is responsible for it. Classic historical example, Hitler blaming Jews, gypsies, homosexuals, etc. For the issues within Germany, and while to some degree they might have been a piece of the problem, they certainly were not the problem overall. And so this can happen on a much smaller scale where you have some sort of situation in which you need to look for someone to blame rather than blaming either yourself or the real source of your frustration. And so you scapegoat, you blame it on someone else, and then you act accordingly to match your feelings for that. So this is a psychologist, very famous psychologist, Philip Zimbardo, that we need to make sure that we understand. He's a very famous social psychologist. Here's his photo over here. Some of you might recognize him from the Stanford Prison Experiment, where they took two different groups of people and they had them role play a situation in which one group was the guards, one group was the prisoners, and he watched what he called the power of the situation, how people really will adopt to and be influenced by their environment, and watch and how these people were able to really adopt these roles, and then the prison guards would start to really treat these fake inmates as actual prisoners and start to beat them and show power and authority over them. And so his idea is that people are really heavily influenced by the situation they're in, by their surroundings, and people will act in kind. And I'm sure you can be able to see this from some of these other terminologies that we've covered so far, like de-individuation, social facilitation, etc. All of these are speaking to the influence that being a part of a group or being in our surroundings and the influence that it has on our behaviors. And so make sure that as you're going through these, you're able to understand how each of these can influence our behaviors, as well as how the other terms that we've covered so far from our experiments do as well. Be sure you ask any questions if you have any of your teacher, and have a great day.